most of the people here who know you, and Amma, your wife, revere you as an avatar.
Yes.
Could you explain, for someone who's not heard that word, what is an avatar?
The word avatar need not necessarily be used for spiritual people. It could be used for anybody who has got some specific work to do on the planet. Like we have a man called Ramanujan, who's called a mathematics avatar. Now this gentleman, whenever a question was posed to him, he would pass on the question to what we call the Antaryaman or the indweller, and the answer would come from there. And he lived for a very short time, and he gave a lot of breakthroughs in mathematics. So similarly, if you give some breakthroughs in music, we would call you a music avatar. And the same thing can happen to science or to dance or anything. So anybody with a specific purpose who's come down for a specific purpose, we call him an avatar. So when I began this work, people began to say he's putting us into altered states of consciousness, and he is an avatar who has come for that. So it was the people who called me an avatar.
When did you first know that you were an avatar? Were you born realizing right away, or did you come to the recognition that you were somehow different from other people later on?
For me, this thing has continued from childhood. So my mother, who's from a village, she was a very innocent woman, and in the Indian tradition, they believe that it's possible to invite God to come in as your child. So she was 13 years old when she got married. So she used to go to a temple and worship there, saying, "You must be born to me as my child." And she got this Antaryaman, or the indweller of Lord Krishna. And he came as a baby into her, and she was feeling that he's the one who's going to be born to her. And when she gave birth, the Antaryaman disappeared for her, and she thought, now that the child is born, the Antaryaman has disappeared. So that was her feelings while I was in the womb. And maybe that influenced me, I do not know. But from the days I could remember, I could feel that people around were not experiencing what I was experiencing. So I was wondering, how am I to give it to them? Then I realized it has to be actually transferred to them. So this work began ever since I was a child. But I could really do it only sometime around 1989.
You said that you realized other people were experiencing something different than you were experiencing.
Yes, yes.
How would you describe the difference?
I was watching the way they were behaving and they were responding. So I was wondering, why is it they are behaving like this? And now I have this ability to experience what other people are experiencing. So I decided to experience what they're experiencing. Then I found that they're experiencing the world very differently from the way I was experiencing. So it was then that I decided, no, I have to make them experience the way I am experiencing. And thus began this work.
What is the way that you experience the world, Bhagavan?
When I experience the world, when I listen to some sound, I find that I'm not interpreting it. When I look at something, again, there's no interpretation going on. And there's nobody who's hearing or nobody who's seeing. There's nobody there. There's just the experience of the seeing, the hearing, the thinking. Well, I found in the case of the others, they had this feeling that somebody was there doing these things. So then I decided, no, something has to be done here. Exactly experience the way I was experiencing. Because when I was experiencing, I was getting joy, while I found they were getting no joy at all. So I decided that the idea of somebody being there has to go. That was how it all began.
For many of us, we are born, and we either we're born with or we quickly develop this sense of separation. I know it very well. And then it begins a seeking, a searching, and we go into different practices and meditations and things. And then, if we're very lucky, we fall into some way that the sense of self begins to dissolve and maybe finally is liberated. And then that's called enlightenment. It's some release.
Yes.
Did that process also happen for you? That there was or did that never occur in your case?
Oh, that never happened to me. That was why I often had to experience others to know how it was that they were relating to the world. No? So I never went through any process of enlightenment because it was there all the time from the beginning. It was only a question of my trying to understand what others were experiencing. It was the other way around.